So first question is, what could you tell us the dates of the eclipse season?
Sure, yes. And I will also just, before I tell you the dates, I'll just give a little brief introduction of myself. Hi, I'm xocean or xocean Alexander. The name changes based on my mood. And I've been a professional tropical astrologer since 2018, graduating from the Portland School of Astrology, and then have been studying for about a decade, a little over a decade at this point. And I love the language of astrology. And so today we're going to be talking about eclipses. And we are in eclipse season right now. Eclipse season started with the last new moon, which was on August 23rd. And so that's when eclipse season began. And we will have our first eclipse, which will be a Pisces full moon on September 7th. And so in eclipse seasons, we always have two, sometimes three eclipses. Within this eclipse season, we'll have two, starting with a lunar eclipse on September 7th, and then followed by a solar eclipse on September 21st.
What should we definitely do during eclipse season?
So eclipse seasons are time of really big energy. Everything is just like turned way up. Everything's like on volume, 20. It's just like everything is really, really, really loud. And that doesn't mean that it's bad, and that doesn't mean that it's good. It just means that it's loud. It's really big energy. So for folks who are really sensitive to full moons, an eclipse is like a full moon, but amped way, way, way up. And so we generally have two eclipse seasons every single year, and they will happen during the seasons where the nodes are, the lunar nodes. The lunar nodes right now are in Pisces and Virgo. So these eclipses are tropically Virgo and Pisces eclipses, which means that within this year, within 2025, and also a little bit into 2024 and a little bit into 2026, all of the eclipses take place in Virgo and Pisces seasons. And so eclipse seasons are like, yeah, like I said, really, really amplified. And so there are times that are considered to be auspicious. So there are times to be that like big things come. There are big beginnings. There are big endings. Everything is just big. Again, it's not bad and it's not good. It's just big. And so a lot of cultures uh, don't look at the eclipse. They don't go outside on the eclipse. They don't want to see photos of eclipses. They don't do any sort of um, energy magic manifestation during eclipse season. And for a while, when I was first getting into my astrology practice as a professional astrologer, after I'd studied for a while, I like would go and watch the eclipses, and I still will, but I tread a little bit lightly, and I used to do like, okay, I'm gonna like summon all of this power, and then and not like my power, but summon the power of this energy, and then like through more study and through more just paying attention to different cultures, both current and past, and then as far as like former traditions, I now don't do any sort of manifestation or moonifestation work on eclipses or during eclipse season. And so something that I recommend is to pay attention, to listen, to notice what is coming into your life, to notice what is leaving your life, to notice what is wanting your energy and where your focus is, and to like do that, but not necessarily call things in, not like plant new seeds, but more just like listen. We are just but humble humans, and so when we go through these eclipse times, when the moon turns red during a lunar eclipse, or when the sky turns dark during a solar eclipse, those are times that we're not trying to like call things in and like call to the cosmos or to the gods or to the goddesses or to the powers of be. It's more of like, I am a humble human, and I'm going to make offerings, and I'm going to sit, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to pay attention. So I where I am in my practice. And again, this has shifted and changed, and maybe it'll change again many years down the road. But I, for myself, I listen, I journal, I pay attention. And when I do client work, that's what I recommend to my clients as well, is to not moonifest, but to listen.
That makes a lot of sense. So do listen, don't moonifest, which by the way, I love. Do you feel comfortable sharing why you say moonifest and not manifest?
I mean, I just like to take the man out of everything. So
Real.
so I say Moonifest because one, it's just cute and charming, and also because the moon, I am doing that during the lunation cycles generally. So like I will plant seeds during new moons. I will do clearing during balsamic moons. I will do a culmination during full moon. So I'm already doing it with the moon. So I will say manifestation. I will also say tranifestation. But I generally take the man out of everything.
I like that. I like to do that too. Um, I also have, like, we've talked about this personally, but I just have such a complex relationship with manifesting. I think that it has some blind spots in terms of accessibility. And I think it
Mhm.
can become, I hear so much that just like dips into toxic positivity. Like you would already have it if you had done the work to have it, which just isn't true across all cultures and backgrounds and things like that. It's just not true. So I like Moonifestation. And if you don't mind, I'd like to borrow that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, please.
Excellent. We had also talked before this about not moonifesting during eclipse season, but what about if you are already working to call something in? Like if you're already putting aligned action into something, should you pause that for a while?
I would say pay attention. Like if something already has your energy and you're feeling really called to like be with a lot of momentum of something,
Mhm.
continue with the momentum because that's what, you know, that's the path of this eclipse portal. We all have a big surge of energy during eclipse portals. Again, the eclipse portal happens the either the new moon or the full moon prior to, so the full moon before the solar eclipse, or the new moon before the lunar eclipse. And so it'll be like a month and a half time period. And so that eclipse portal, we get into a wave, we get into a surge of energy. And some people, it's, you're being called to like make lots of art. Some it's you're called to travel. Some people it's you're called to just rest, and you stay in bed, and and you're quiet. But it's not the best time to like announce a new business or announce a new a new thing, or like, yeah, like do a hard launch of a new relationship. This is the time that is like personal between you and cosmic energy, you and goddess, you and God, you and whatever the word is that you use. And so it's not necessarily about yeah, putting things forth. But
Okay.
yeah, keep with the momentum that you're like in and that you're being pulled. I know that for me personally, I've been working really just like super focused over the last week and a half on a project that I had started many years ago, and it keeps having these little bursts of like, oh, now is the time to like put energy towards it. And yeah, about a week and a half ago, it was just like it consumed me, and I was like, perfect. This is great because this is already a project that I've been working on, and this is a project that wants my attention, and so I'm paying attention, and I'm listening, and I'm saying yes, I will do it, but it's quiet. It's not like I'm launching it forward.
Okay, so it's not necessarily the best time for like big new beginnings, new announcements, but if you feel called to continue on something, that's a good sign.
Yes, yeah. And like also I want to say that this is just my personal opinion, and it's my personal opinion in this moment now, and it's based on lots of my previous teachers, and just like paying attention to different cultures and different mythologies. And also it's not the correct, opinion. It's just my opinion. So if you
Fair.
are somebody who wants to do manifestation work, if you're someone who wants to launch something, go for it, but you might find that it has like a really big like surge of a beginning, and then a fizzle because everything's starting with like a big a big, it's already at kind of like a culmination. And
Mm.
so, yeah, my opinion is not the correct opinion. It's just my opinion, and I'm sharing it. So, yeah.
Mm. I like that you have the awareness to say that. That's one of my mantras is my truth is not the truth. My world is not the world. It's like humbling and useful to just remember that there's more than one way to go about anything. So thank you for that disclaimer. One other question regarding this, since we talked about endings and continuations, I'm sorry, beginnings and continuations. What about endings? Like, what if you feel a call? Is it a good time to end a relationship, a friendship, or should you also wait on that?
Yeah, I mean, so everything that
Um,
happens during eclipse season, and this is going to be true of any sort of transit,
mm,
um, uh, you know, transits being like a Saturn returns, a solar returns, a Mars square, like any sort of transit. Um, what happens during a big transit, such as an eclipse, um, is things don't come out of nowhere. They're already there. They're already like, you've already given it a lot of thought. Like probably by the time that you are ready to end a relationship, you've been thinking about it for weeks,
mhm.
months, years, and there might be a thing that happens during the eclipse season just because everything is amplified that it's like, oh yeah, this is the time. Um, like yeah, you might find out a secret, or there might be a big blow up that just doesn't feel like it's worth repair, and um, so eclipse portals do tend to be the time of people coming into your life and people leaving your life.
Mm,
So there does tend to be a natural flow of like a beginning, again, something that's coming to you and that you're not necessarily like, calling something in. It just like appears. And also things ending. And also like sometimes things start and end within an eclipse season. So like a new relationship that's just like perfect and wonderful and yes and amazing might only have a shelf life of 4, 5, 6 weeks, because it happens during this like huge peak of energy. So yeah, there does tend to be a natural flow of sparks of newness and sparks of closingness.
gotcha. Okay, thank you. That helps me to understand a lot of things happening with me personally. So thank you for that. Okay, my next question, back to the book.
Uh-huh.
Are there any signs that will be affected more than others during this eclipse season?
Yeah. So this eclipse is gonna, affect everybody. Everybody has Pisces and Virgo somewhere.
Mhm.
But for people who have Pisces suns or Pisces moons or Pisces rising, or if you have Virgo suns, Virgo moons, or Virgo risings, then this will be affecting your big three, your sun, your moon, your rising. And so yeah, it will definitely affect Pisces folks and Virgo folks. It will also deeply affect people who have the lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo. And you can check that by pulling up your chart. I like to use astro.com, but there are also really great tools. There's an app called Time Nomad. There's a really great website called the Channy app, which is also an app. And so you can put in your information and look at your natal chart, and then the nodes are going to be these like little horseshoe looking things. I'll just draw what they look like, and so you would look to see what sign. So it looks like just a little horseshoe. And that would be the north node, and then this would be the south node, and they're always 180 degrees away from each other or across the circle from one another. And so if you have the lunar nodes, either the north node or the south node in Pisces and Virgo, then you are having what is either called a solar or a nodal returns or nodal oppositions. And that happens every uh, in durations of 9. So you would have your first uh, nodal oppositions at 9, your first nodal returns at 18, and then 27, and then 36, and then 45. And so you have these like returnings of this is like, not only is it like amped up energy for everybody, for people who are having nodal returns or nodal oppositions, it's like doubly amped. So it's just like amped, amped, amped. And because those are times of you've like made a curve in the spiral of your life. So you're like learning a thing really big, or things are really starting to like close or start. Yeah, you're just like pulled in the momentum of being on your path, and you like. I tend to visualize a fork in the road when you're at your lunar returns, or your nodal returns or your nodal oppositions, where you're given the choice of multiple options. You can either go left, you can go right, or you can turn around and go behind you. And so there's this time of like, you have to make a choice. You're at a crossroads, and one way is going to lead you to a certain answer, and one way is going to lead you to a different answer. And those tend to happen during your nodal oppositions and nodal returns.
I see. Wow, that's really good to know. It just had me thinking back to what I can remember at age 18, 27. Oh my God, those were all pivotal. What about for you? Those were all pivotal for me.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're they're big transits.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so for the next question, which days are the most transformative during this eclipse season, and what can we do to best harness the energy of those days?
Yeah. So again, because eclipse season is a time of listening, we're
Mhm.
not necessarily harnessing the energy. We are paying attention to what is coming, what is asking for our energy, and what's asking for us to like be still and be quiet. I will say that these eclipses um, they have big things in them already. So I'm currently looking at the September 21st chart, which is the Virgo solar eclipse. So again, that will be our second eclipse. Our first one is the Pisces lunar eclipse on the 7th. And I'll talk about that one in just one second. I just happen to have the solar eclipse chart pulled up. So September 21st is the day before the equinox. So the equinox is on the 22nd, which means that not only is our eclipse, not only is it an eclipse, but it's an eclipse at the anaretic degree. So the sun is at that 29th degree of Virgo. And so it's this like culmination point. And so we've got that anaretic degree is the 29th degree of any sign, but for this one, it's going to be pulling the energy of both Virgo and Pisces. And so Pisces, being the end of the zodiac, is not only the anaretic degree of a sign, it's also the anaretic degree of the entire zodiac. So both the sun and the moon will be at 29 Virgo, but that would be making, that would still be like pulsating at that 29 degree of Pisces. And so not only is it an eclipse, but it's an eclipse at the anaretic degree, and it's an eclipse at the anaretic degree in an exact opposition to Saturn, who is at that 29th degree of Pisces. And so it's just a really, really big day. I imagine that's going to be a day where a lot of people are going through it. It's going to be like a day where if you're able to take the day off of work, that would be a great day to like go sit in the forest or sit in a bathtub or go to the beach, or just like be still in your home or be still in nature. Um, uh, and and when I say people are going through it, again, that doesn't necessarily mean good. It doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means that that is a day where there's a lot of aspects that are going to be creating challenges. So if you're having a fine day, nothing's going on with you, more than likely your bestie, your sweetie, your neighbor, the stranger in, in rush hour traffic, they're going through it. So everyone's going to be affected because it's such a big, big day. So again, it's an eclipse. It's an eclipse at the anaretic degree, and it's an eclipse at the anaretic degree, creating an opposition to Saturn, who is at that anaretic degree of the whole entire zodiac at 29 degrees Pisces. And so that's a day to like be still if you're able to be still. And so that also means that the following day, which is the equinox, here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be the autumnal equinox, welcome autumn. And then the Southern Hemisphere, it's going to be the spring equinox, so welcome spring. And so equinoxes are times of like equality, of equalness, equal day, equal night. And that's true and not true. The equinox tends to be, there's not an exact equal, that's the equilux, which are a couple of days before and after the equinox, but that's like neither here nor there. So the equinox is time of like equal equal day, equal night. So that's a big time for a lot of people who are pagans, who are Wiccans, who do witchcraft, who do animism, tend to do a lot of like calling in on the Shabbats, on the solstice points and on the equinox points. And so the equinox happens to fall within hours of this eclipse, which means that we're starting a new season, but it's still not a great time to necessarily do the magic because it's falling so in saturated eclipse time. And so that is on September 21st and 22nd, being the eclipse and the equinox. And then I've just pulled up the September 7th chart, which is the Pisces lunar eclipse. So that is going to be on Sunday. Today is Monday, so it's in 6 days from now. The Pisces lunar eclipse, the sun will be at 15 degrees of Virgo, the moon will be at 15 degrees of Pisces, and both are tightly conjunct the nodal points, who are at 18 degrees of Virgo and Pisces. So that one's a really, really potent eclipse because it's so close to the nodes. And yeah, pulling up the chart, just seeing the sun is making a sextile to Jupiter, which is lovely. And yeah, that's the only thing that I necessarily see. So yeah, that I don't remember what the question was. Did I answer the question?
Beautifully. Yeah, I just wanted to know if there were any days to look out for. And as you were talking about the 21st, I made a note in my calendar. That's a Sunday at 2 for anyone wondering. And I just wrote in all caps, no plans today, talk to trees today. So that's what I'll be doing on the 21st, going out into nature and silence somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. If you can just be home, be quiet, don't be in the car. I unfortunately am driving back from a conference, so I will be in the car on an eclipse, this upcoming eclipse. But I also know that it's happening, so that means that I'm going to be extra careful. I'm going to be paying extra attention. Gonna I'm gonna be going the speed limit. Those are things that you can do, knowing that everyone is like amped up. You can try and be as careful as possible. So
Absolutely. Doing a little extra to take care of yourself makes a lot of sense. It's good to have a heads up. So thank you. Let me move on to the next question. Do you offer, oh, we're actually coming to the end. So if anyone listening, if you have questions, and feel free to write them in the chat box if you haven't already, because we'll get to you in just a moment. So the last question is, do you offer one-on-one readings to give people more personalized guidance about what they should personally expect for eclipse season?
excuse me. Yes, I do readings. I do natal chart readings. I do transit readings. The transits are the movement of the planets in the sky, such as like right now we're in tropical Virgo season. That would be a transit. And So I do, yeah, and solar returns readings, which is the your year between birthday and birthday. So it looks at just the point where the sun returns to the exact point where it was when you were born. So it's not a natal chart reading, but it's a chart for your year. And those are really great, like right before your birthday, right after your birthday, because it'll be from birthday to birthday. I also do progression readings, and I'll get into astrocartography, which is putting your chart on the map of the world and looking at, great places for you to travel. And I also have a book that is for sale that I created for visual learners. It's called Visionary of Vessels, and it's filled with lots of very colorful infographics and charts. It's really great, just like a basic 101 breaking down of signs, planets, houses, and very colorful, and so really great for 101 astrology learners. And then I occasionally lead classes as well. So if people want to learn in a workshop style, then all of that tends to be on my website.
Okay. What's your web address?
My web address is indigomoonartist.com, and my Instagram handle is indigomoonartist.
Excellent.
Instagram. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. And I'll put those in the info box below this video as well, so you'll find them easily. So if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the chat here, or feel free to just raise your hand, and then you can unmute your mic and ask out loud. Okay, we do have a question here.
Okay.
It is, what are some good and maybe free apps for a deep dive into your own astrology? Some were mentioned before, but more detail, please.
Yes, thanks for this question. So I really like the Chani app. Chani Nicholas is an astrologer who has been doing this for 20 plus years. She's queer, she's feminist, she's an anti-Zionist Jewish person. She's an artist, an activist. She's just a really great teacher. She was also my first teacher back in 2015. And so she created an app called the Chani app. It's also a website, and Chani is spelled Chani. And within both the app and on the website, you can put in your birth information, and your natal chart will be pulled up. And then if you become a member, you get daily downloads, daily, like, here's the transit that's happening for you. And then a year ahead, and so that's really great for people who are wanting to learn. And so yeah, that's the Chani app. Again, that's Chani. And then another website that I really love is Ghost of a Podcast. That's a podcast, and it's by this astrologer named Jessica Lanyadoo, who's also been doing this for about 25 years, who is also a queer activist and feminist. And she has a website, which is jessicalanyadoo.com, and Lanyadoo is spelled Lanyodoo. Lanydoo, Lanydoo. And then her podcast is Ghost of a Podcast. And so both of them have spaces for you to put in your birth information, and so you can have a chart pulled up. The Chani app will be in whole sign houses, because that's what she uses. And then Jessica Lanyadoo's website will be in Campanus houses, which are different house systems, but great to look at your chart in many different house systems. Those are two of many, many, many house systems that exist within astrology. And then I also really like the app Time Nomad. And that is, I like to look at it for kind of daily transits. It's just easy to work with, and you can put in your own birth information in there and have your own birth chart in that one as well. And then I will use astro.com. The website is called AstroDeist, but the website is just astro.com. And then you can put in your information there, and you can put up to 100 birth chart stuff. So you can, put yours, and you can put in like special dates, like, your anniversaries and new moons and stuff like that. And that's the one that I tend to use the most. And then again, there's so many different house systems. I personally use whole sign houses. If you're using astro.com, it will, the default is Placidus. Again, so many great different house systems. And then I personally study and practice tropical astrology, but then there's many different places to look at sidereal and constellational astrology as well. And so, yeah, the ones that I recommend are the Chani app, jessicalignato.com, astro.com, and then Time Nomad, which is an app.
Excellent. I put that in the chat box. Did I spell everything correctly?
Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Lanyado might just be Lanyydoo. But I'm sure if people,
Can find it from there.
yeah. Oh, I misspelled it. I think that's how you spell it. Lanyydoo.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any questions? Let me know. You can either you can say it out loud or put it in the chat box and I can read it for you. And as you do that, I actually have a question.
Yes.
My Venus is in Pisces. Could you tell me briefly like how this eclipse might affect me based on my Venus in Pisces?
Yeah. Um, so Venus in Pisces is exalted. So a Venus in Pisces is in their happy place. So planets have different places of comfort. So there's the domicile, there's exaltation, there's the fall, detriment, and then perigune are the 5 different categories that planets can be in different signs. And so Venus in Pisces is exalted, which means Venus is put onto a pedestal. And in different, I like to look at like astrology archetypes as bookends. So on one end would be like Venus being exalted is like things just like come to you, and you have good luck in love, and you have good luck in finances, and you have good luck in beauty and being able to save money and have a savings and all of these things like Venus who represents beauty and love, which is self-love and love with others, and then also ethics and values and money. Those are the archetypes of Venus. So exalted or put on a pedestal is like one, if not many of those things come naturally easy to you. There's just like a natural flow moving towards you. So you don't have to fight for it. It just kind of like arrives. So you can just be like, okay, I would like to find $5 on the ground today. And then you find $5 on the ground today. Or today I'm going to meet someone who is going to, spark a romantic relationship. And that might be someone that like is a lover. That might be someone that like introduces you to your next lover. That might be someone who's like, ooh, you should go to this book reading. And then you go to the book reading and you meet somebody. And that doesn't mean like, long lasting love. It could be, but it could also just be like, oh, I'm in love with you for 5 hours and then we're done and we're good. We've learned our lessons from each other. But like something flows easily towards you is like one way of seeing Venus exalted in Pisces. On the other bookend, a way that when you have something who is exalted is that they are insatiable. So they're never satisfied. So the visualization that I get with Venus in exalted in Pisces is kind of like a trust fund baby. So I think of like the Kardashians, who is like, Daddy, Daddy, give me some more money. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Oh, you only gave me $5,000. I need $10,000. I'm just like, you're never, ever, ever happy. And that, is true of like money, that's true of drugs, that's true of food, that's true of scrolling. Like it's just never and never enough. And so, you're just not satisfied because, again, things come so easy where you don't have to work for it. A planet who's exalted, you don't have to work for it. And so on one end, again, it's like, oh, natural, and I will be appreciative, and I will be speaking gratitude, and I will be humble, and I will share the things that come effortlessly and easily for me. And on the other hand, it's like, gimme, 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 I wanna, and you're never satisfied. And so that's going to be true of like any planet who is exalted in any sign. And so for you to have a Venus in Pisces, something will come up where you're learning the lesson of love, beauty, finances, ethics, values. And then, of course, we would look at many different things. So that's just like a broad sweep of Venus and Pisces. But we would also, if I was doing a chart reading, I would look at and see what house is it in? Is it making any aspects? Is it being trined or squared or conjunct to anything? Is Venus a day planet or a night planet? Is Venus, in good relationships to the signs that they rule, which would be Libra and Taurus? You would look at all of these different things if I was doing a reading, but a broad sweep would be that Venus is exalted, and you'll have a bookend type of situation during this eclipse. And again, it might not hit you direct, because if your Venus is at 3 degrees and these eclipses are at 15 and 29 degrees, then this one won't necessarily activate your Venus, but a different Pisces or Virgo eclipse that either happened in the last Pisces eclipse season, or will happen in future Pisces season, might activate it. So yeah, broad sweep and then general.
Well, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going through a breakup, so that does make sense. As of very recently. So I think that checks. And also, I like your description because that's the first time I've heard it be like I feel kind of disempowered by this placement, because I often hear it as being described as people will often project something onto you that's not who you really are. So it's hard for people to fully know you. Like that happens a lot with Venus and Pisces from what I've read. But I like your description of it because it reminds me that I still have choice and power. Like I can still say I am calling in this experience, because you're right. I do like some things I do in my mind, they take forever. But then when I actually look at the timeline, I'm like, wow, I actually was able to Moonifest this fairly quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. You're right. Thank you for reminding me that there's power in this placement, and a warning to watch out for overconsumption, because she do like to eat. I'm
And I'm not shaming eating. I'm just, we notice when we're full in anything, full in scrolling, full in drugs, full in food, full in sex, full in shopping. Yeah. So,
Absolutely. And I have a
yeah.
Taurus moon that really contributes to the eating. But I just like good food. But I digress. There's another question in the chat box here. I'm born under 6 retrogrades: Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, North Node, Chiron, Mercury. What does that mean for me? This past retrograde, Mercury retrograde, was a time of clarity and consciousness. And since it went direct, my brain went back to being foggy.
Yeah. Wow. I love a retrograde planet. So it just means, I mean, as a broad sweep, I would say neurodivergence. That's easy to say in this group, because when you've got so many planets who are retrograde, it means that you are seeing things with a different perspective than the fast moving forward. The fast moving forward being capitalism, fast moving forward being, we need to do everything. We need to have like a 9 to 5. We have to wake up at 7. We have to it's just like everything's boom, 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 boom in the direction of like fast, in the direction of making money, in the direction of growing laterally. And when we have so many planets retrograde, you see and feel and experience time more as it really is, which is a spiral, which is linear or nonlinear, which is moving through an like different types of timelines. Capitalism isn't built in a timeline that really exists, and so when you've got so many retrogrades, that has you looking backwards and inwards and forwards and moving with a different pace, possibly a slower pace. And then the other really cool thing about folks who are born under retrogrades or born really close to a planet turning retrograde is that sometime in their lifetime the progressed planet will switch directions, and that is really cool to see that timeline. And that is something that you would do in a reading. That's not something that a novice would do, but that means for folks who are born with retrograde planets, one or many of them will switch a direction at some point in their life. And again, that's the progressed chart. And so yeah, that's really cool to look at. I will say just about retrogrades. Retrogrades are always from our perspective here on Earth, which is called a geocentric point of view. Every planet retrogrades from our perspective here on Earth. None of the planets are actually ever moving backwards. But from our perspective here on Earth, because every planet is moving at a different pace, like Mercury is moving really quickly around the sun, and then Pluto's moving hella slow around the sun, and everybody in between. So everyone's going at their own pace, and we're going at a different, orbit. We're going at a different part of the loop. And so when we're going retrograde, there's a curve in the orbit. And so we're seeing planets starting to move backwards from our perspective, again, a geocentric point of view, based on the constellations. So based on the fixed stars. So we can see, Mercury was at, 19 degrees of Virgo and is now at 18 degrees and 17. So we can see it based on where they're in relationship to the stars. Planets are never actually moving backwards, but because we are Earth beings and we attribute these different archetypes, we notice the patterns that are happening. And so a retrograde is a time of slowing down, and the retrograde is always going to consist of a planet slowing, which is called stationing, and then turning either retrograde or direct, and then moving in that direction, and then another stationing. And that stationing is when the planet is the most still. So they're not moving forward and they're not moving backwards. They're just standing still, slightly turning around. And so those stationing points are really potent times. Yeah, and so I would recommend for somebody who is born with a lot of retrogrades to get a reading, a retrograde reading, and have the astrologer look at, is any of their planets the progressed planets going to switch anytime soon? Because those are really cool to look into.
Thank you. Oh, wow, that really describes me. Thank you from the comments.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Oh. Xocean, thank you so much for being here. If anyone else has any last questions, let me know in the chat box. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and call it a wrap. But that was so informative, and I feel prepared for this eclipse season, having a better understanding of the fact that it's a good time to slow down, to listen, which how you sometimes feel that inner call anyway, that it's time to do that. So it feels very aligned in that way too. Like I need to just tune in and listen.
Yeah.
I have been made aware of the 21st. I hope you all have too. You can make a plan ahead of time. And yeah, hopefully we all make it through this eclipse season relatively unscathed and feeling magical.
Yes. And I would love for folks to share with me, after the eclipses happen, and yeah, tell me what happened if folks want to share. So
yeah, absolutely. And to those listening, Practical Magic for Neurodivergence, all of the subscribers are welcome to join us live when we have these talks. And then also you'll get the replays in our community within the next couple of days, usually the next day, but I'll say a couple of days to give myself a little window. And then if you have questions, leave the comment and we can add them to the next Q&A that we have. We try to have these periodically, so you won't really miss out, even if you do miss the chance to come live.
cool. Well, thank you everybody who asked questions, and thank you, Brittney-Elizabeth. It was a pleasure to be here.
It was a pleasure to have you, and I will see you. I'll actually see you next Monday for the astrology forecast.
Excellent. All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press stop.